No, Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden, and so were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group. And they tried to rig an election, and they got caught. And we have all of the documents. And from what Tulsi told me, she's got thousands of additional documents coming. So President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill. Hillary Clinton and her group, the Democrats, spent $12 million to Christopher Steele to write up a report that was a total fake report. Took 2 years to figure that out, but it came out that it was a total fake report. It was made up fiction, and they used that. Now, the one thing they weren't able to do was to, and probably the only thing I respect about the press in years is the press refused to write it before the election. They refused to put it in. The Steele report was a disaster. All lies, all fabrication, all admitted, and admitted fraud. She paid $12 million, and the Democrats, for that report to a wise guy named Christopher Steele. He wrote a phony report, and they wanted to get that report in before the election. And I'll tell you what, I talk about all the time, the fake news, how bad it is. But in this case, they wouldn't do it. They saw it, they read it, and they said, we don't believe it. And it was only after, substantially, like a month and a half after the election, that it got printed, and it was a big wisp. It was just like a bang of nothing, because the election had ended. If that report had gotten published by the New York Times or somebody, and I respect the Times for maybe only this, because they're crooked as you can be. They're a terrible paper, a crooked, corrupt paper. But for this one moment, they said, this is bullshit, we can't put this in. And neither could any other paper. Wall Street Journal's a lousy paper, very, very dishonest paper. As you see, I'm suing them for a lot of money because they do things very badly. It's got a nice name, but it's really, in my opinion, it's a terrible paper, and it can be corrupt. But just so you know, they didn't take the Steele report. It was the dossier. Remember the famous dossier? I call it the fake news dossier. The news wouldn't publish it. And I'm amazed. They had 2.5 months. It was finished 2.5 months. That was supposed to be what was going to happen. And it got published a couple of months after the election, and frankly, nobody cared too much about it. But that was a big thing. No, we caught Hillary Clinton, we caught Barack Hussein Obama. They're the ones, and then you have many, many people under them. Susan Rice, they're all there. The names are all there. And I guess they figured they're going to put this in classified information, and nobody will ever see it again, but it doesn't work that way. And it's the most unbelievable thing I think I've ever read. So you ought to take a look at that and stop talking about nonsense, because this is big stuff. Never has a thing like this happened in the history of our country. And by the way, it morphed into the 2020 race. And the 2020 race was rigged, and it was a rigged election. And because it was rigged, we have millions of people in our country. We had inflation. We solved the inflation problem. But millions and millions of people came into our country because of that. And people that shouldn't have been, people from gangs and from jails and from mental institutions, people that we don't want in our country, and people that we're getting out, dangerous people. 11,888 murderers, many of them 50%, more than 50%, murdered more than one person. I hate to say this with such a distinguished guest, but you know, they asked me a question. I got to answer the question. No, Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden, and so were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group. And they tried to rig an election, and they got caught. And then they did rig the election in 2020. And then because I knew I won that election by a lot, I did it a third time, and I won in a landslide. Every swing state won the popular vote. But I won that all the same way in 2020. And look at the damage that was caused. Because the old FBI under Comey was crooked as hell. He was one of the most crooked. Everybody should read the Horowitz report. Unfortunately, Bill Barr didn't use it. But the Horowitz report, not appointed by me, It was a report on Comey and the FBI. It is one of the worst shots at a human being I think I've ever seen. In fact, the New York Times did an editorial that was one of the worst editorials I've ever seen about anybody. That was about Comey. You ought to go back and get, and Barr didn't use it because he didn't have the guts to use it, or something happened. I don't know. Too bad. He went to Mr. Durham. Instead of doing the Durham, all they had to use is the Horowitz report. And I always felt badly for Horowitz, frankly, because he's a Democrat, I guess. He was appointed by a Democrat. But that report has gotten lost, and it shouldn't be lost. You should all go back. It should be mandatory reading. Go back and read the Horowitz report on Comey and his cronies. And you'll see exactly, we're going to add that to all the stuff that we found. It just confirms it. But what we found is even more so. Now, we found absolute, this isn't like evidence, this is like proof, irrefutable proof that Obama was seditious, that Obama was trying to lead a coup. And it was with Hillary Clinton, with all these other people, but Obama headed it up. And, I get a kick when I hear everyone talks about people I never even heard of. It was this one. No, it was Obama. He headed it up. And it says so right in the papers. Got everything. Got everything. This is the biggest scandal in the history of our country. And it really goes on to even the auto pen, because it all relates to the same thing. It all started the same sick minds. You have an auto pen, which is a tremendous, well, we don't have a president, we have an auto pen that signs everything. I'll bet you sign everything. You don't have auto pens. Everybody, who doesn't sign? You're the president of a country. But it's all that whole thing leading right up to the end of it is the auto pen. And the auto pen was used by people, and Biden knew nothing about it. Biden knew nothing about it. They were signing documents that he knew nothing about. As an example, they released the Unselect Committee of Liability. The Unselect Committee spent 2 years grilling everybody, and then they destroyed all the evidence. You know why? Because the evidence made them guilty. And he gave them all a pardon. The Cheney, all the scum that was on the Unselect Committee, Cryan, Adam Kinzinger, and Democrats. And he gave them a pardon. Do you have something else, guys?
One more thing on Adam Schiff. Director Pulte reports that Adam Schiff claims he lived in a one-bedroom apartment. Now, how does a family of four, and you're a developer, a very successful developer, how does a family of four live in a one-bedroom apartment?
Now, it looks like Adam Schiff really did a bad thing. They have him. Now, let's see what happens. It's not up to me. It's not up to, I stay out of it purposely. But it's mortgage loan fraud. It's a big deal. He defrauded banks and insurance companies and the federal government. But it's very simple. It's mortgage loan fraud. And you're right. That's a lot of people to live in a one-bedroom apartment, right? But he put it down. But he has a lot of other things far worse than that. So, no, Adam Schiff, they have him 100% on mortgage fraud. Now, if there's anybody else in this room except you would have no problem. But anybody else in this room, you'd have a problem. I'd have a problem. Yeah, please.